specific moment in GitHub, especially over this past Friday, we just hit over 100K GitHub stars. And at GitHub's Universe event, they announced Ollama as the fastest growing open source AI project by contributor count in 2024. And there's the Octoverse report that you can find with the state of open source. Just to put that in perspective, what this means is Ollama is now the #4 Go project on GitHub. This is right behind the Golang project, Kubernetes, and Awesome Go. If you haven't started the project, please check us out on GitHub. As a community, we've came together, and Ollama's growing with you guys. Over the past year, we've now have over 370 contributors across 7,900 issues and 2,000 PRs being made on Ollama. And this has resulted in over 100 releases of Ollama. And what has this drove? 4 million unique instances of Ollama today in the world, and a monthly poll of 11 million model downloads. And this is all supported by 82,000 Discord members who are there actively to help. And this is just amazing. I just want to take a time to show this, and we wouldn't be here without you guys. Thank you. And in 2024, we shipped many features, but the most important of them all is, of course, supporting the latest models that the community wants. We're fortunate enough to be working with many of the model builders, both directly and indirectly, to bring the latest models to Ollama on day one. For example, we were there with Meta for Llama 3.2 and 3.2 Vision, Google for Gemma 2 and Polygemma, IBM for their new Granite series models, Alibaba's Qwen models, and much more. And we can't wait for 2025 as new models get announced, and I firmly believe we'll see amazing new state-of-the-art models in the open source. And we're in it together. We're going to win in the open source. Other major updates inside Ollama in 2024 can be broken down into two major themes. Number one is enabling integrations and application support within Ollama. And the other is enabling platform support inside Ollama. So for example, for integrations and applications, in January, and it's just January that we released the Python and JavaScript libraries. We made major updates recently. In February, we launched Microsoft Windows support for their platform, OpenAI compatibility, which many of you are excited about, me too. AMD GPU support, embedding models, and batch embeddings for performance, tool calling with streaming feature now. This one is less known to the world, but Ollama.com today supports fine-tuned models by supporting LoRa layers. So this is available today, and if you have a fine-tuned model, please go to Ollama.com and try it out. We've also worked hard with Qualcomm to support their Snapdragon chipsets. Worked with Meta on their 3.2 Vision, and of course working with NVIDIA on Jetson support as well for specific GPUs. So this is awesome. Can't wait for the next 100 releases. But let's start with what's coming up next. Let me invite Parth up to be on stage to talk about what's coming in December, and that is structured outputs. Welcome, Parth.
Hey everyone, nice to meet you. I'm Parth, and we have some exciting updates coming up. So structured outputs and a ton of API improvements in the coming year. So with structured outputs, just to give you guys a little bit of a background, we've been going a lot about how do we let LLMs do what they're best at, which is take a bunch of random data and come out with something with a bit more structure. So we shipped JSON mode earlier this year. We have Python library with typing as well as tool parsing, and you can basically pass in a Python function. It'll do the parsing for you and let you run functions directly. And now with structured outputs, we've essentially had a really popular request around supporting grammars, or basically at the end of the day, just giving structure to data that is unstructured. So with structured outputs, we've dealt a lot with a lot of questions around why does Ollama not support grammars or allow you to pass in a different grammar of your choice, whatever that may be. And really it was three big things that we thought a lot about. And the first one was really just ease of use. We wanted the simplest experience for you to manage structured output with and basically provide a format for your LLM running on Ollama to work with. The next thing is we don't want to particularly constrain ourselves so early with supporting a specific type of grammar or whatever that may be, just because we want to also improve performance throughout Ollama and specifically as well for sampling. And finally, we already have compatibility. It's also to be on like parity with existing tools like OpenAI and provide similar experience to what's already existing. So the flow that I'll be covering in general is going to be between going from a JSON or Python object all the way to Ollama and getting a JSON back, which you can use however you want. All right, so it is demo time, if I can find. All right, can we switch to the demo, please? Sweet. All right, so if at any point this doesn't look right, just let me know. But this is a very simple Pydantic class that we've defined in Python. Very, very simple example. Essentially, I have a friend list. Thankfully, I have many friends. And we have defined friend info as a class with name, age, and is available. So are they available to hang out with me? So just setting up chat with Ollama as usual. We're running Llama 318B in this case, and I'm just gonna read out the prompt, which is, I have two friends. The first is Ollama, 22 years old, busy saving the world. And the second is Alonso, 23 years old, and wants to hang out. Yay me. Return a list of friends in JSON format. So this is another prompt that we often use just to help force the LLM to understand what we're trying to get out of it. We're actually just able to pass this entire Python class with Pydantic class directly into format, which is something you've probably seen before. And you can pass in your options parameters. So in this case, I'm setting temperature to 0 to constrain our output. And let's run this. So we're actually getting a output back. In this case, if this looks confusing, all I'm doing is passing whatever data we got back from Ollama back into the object that we instantiated. So it just validates the JSON and it spits out the correct class. And in this case, we get exactly what we were looking for. Ollama is 22 years old and is not available because there's busy saving the world, and Alonso is available and got the right age. So you can really see that we can take what we've already had, and which was JSON mode, and give it another really useful feature to like stick with a very strict output and format. But imagine a different modality. So next is going to be receipts. And so we already have we recently rolled out like Llama 3.2 Vision. So this is the receipt that we're going to be operating on. I'm going to run this first because it takes a little bit of time on my laptop. But essentially, we're doing the same stuff, and this is a bit more complex this time. So we have our general receipt, we have store name, items, etc., different payment methods, and we've defined an item. You run it the same way. We're passing in a path this time for our image. Format is receipt. Llama 3.2 Vision. Return a JSON. Again, you're kind of seeing this idea of allowing the LLM to do what it's best at and giving it the right prompt to work with that. And the same thing as we saw before. So we got the output back. And I'm also going to open receipts. So over here, we got PL Tortilla 699, really cool. And looks relatively correct. 1099 and so on and so forth. And so we're truly able to see exactly the power of structured outputs, which is you can go from any modality, any text, and you can even use smaller models than what we saw, or larger models, whatever floats your boat really, and really use the power of LLMs through Ollama. Cool, we're gonna switch back to the All right, so structured outputs, depending on when my PR gets approved, will be coming out this week. And there's a few other API features that we've been really asked for a lot. The first one is logits to help you do to help you have full control over your sampling. The next is tokenize and detokenize to let you estimate context size. And finally, we're making just better improvements throughout everything. So API for importing models, as well as an SDK, stability and performance improvements. And next, with all this, we've been also putting a lot of elbow grease into making all over Ollama really, really great. And Mike's gonna talk a little bit more about our new engine.
Thank you. All right. So I want to talk about our new engine, but before I do that, I want to give a little bit of background because at the heart of Ollama is models. That's why Ollama exists. And I think we've added a lot of models over the last year, but I feel like we can add them faster. So there's been a lot of interest in adding models, especially multimodal models like Llama 3.2 Vision, but also Qwen 2 VL, Pixel, all these multimodal models, and so far it's been really hard to do that. And the focus of our new engine is to make that easier. So, at the heart of our new engine are so far three principles. We'll see about that. Three principles. First one is to make adding new model architectures easy and fast, and really rely on the expertise of the model makers, and take advantage of the fact that you people know what is best for your models. And this really starts with giving you a space where you can go and experiment with implementation inside Ollama, and without having to worry about affecting other creators or other model makers. It also allows you to focus on the things that you care about, which is the actual model graph, and takes away some of the things that you might not need to care about, which it includes things like a user-facing front end, the API, tensor libraries, so you can implement that model however way you want with the tools that you need. Secondly, sort of related to this already, but we want to build a framework that is familiar to the model makers. Tools such as transformers and MLX and TensorRT, they all implement models in a very similar way. And we want to leverage that. We want to make it easy to translate a model from a transformers backend or a PyTorch backend into Ollama with very little Ollama-specific paradigms. So that is one of the major focuses of this new engine. And then finally, we want to make it easy to expand Ollama to other backends. We want to make sure that you can use the hardware that you're given so that you have and leverage the most out of it and be able to run the model in the best way possible on that hardware. So how does this new engine work? Well, there's only a few steps because principle number one, gotta keep it simple. At its core, we're gonna give you a way to define your model architecture inside Ollama. And this is primarily gonna be defining that graph execution. Once you define that graph execution, Ollama, when you run that model, it's gonna load the model weights from the file, and it's gonna execute that graph on the best available backend. this should all be very familiar because that's what everything else does. So let me show you how it works. Can we switch over to the demo? Great. So I have this new PR that I created inside Ollama. And what I'm going to do is open up this prompt. So I'm going to be running Llama 3.1 instruct. This is going to be an 8B model, and we're going to give it this prompt that's formatted in the template of Llama 3. So it's going to ask, what is the capital of France, and explain why. Great. So let's go run. And we're going to go execute that. So this is all going to be running in Go with a CGO backend. And what you're going to see is Llama 3.1 outputting the capital of France is Paris, which is correct. And everything here has been implemented inside Go or CGO. And yeah, it's a completely new engine. The model loading is done automatically. And to show you what the actual graph looks like, I'm going to open up this guy. So this is the graph definition for Llama 3.1, and you might notice that it's very familiar, and that is on purpose. From the top, we have a model definition. This is going to be the model, the Llama model, and there is a forward method. You have some inputs that you're going to be turning into a tensor. You have some input embedding, some input tokens. You have positional embeddings. You're going to apply a token embedding on top of the inputs, and then we're going to go through the transformer. So let's go through the transformer. Very similar to what you would see in transformers. We have some attention, normalization. We have the self-attention, and we have the feed forward normalization, and then the feed forward itself. And let's go back. At the end, what you have is some output values, some logits, and then Ollama would go and sample that for you based on whatever your sampling criteria is. Right now, that's just greedy sampling, so it's not going to be too fancy at the moment. But that's it. That's all you need to do as a model maker. You can define this one file, and this model will be implemented. This model actually was implemented by Jeff in about an hour or so. So with all these tools in place, you should be able to implement this model, or at least something very similar, very quickly. All right, let's go back to the slides. So what's next? Like I mentioned, there's a PR for this already. This is PR 7913, so if you're curious on how this works, check it out. And while this is in PR, there's still a lot of work to be done. This is a complete rebuild of the Ollama engine, so it's going to take some time, but our goal is to merge this in December. That includes work like implementing the CUDA backend, implementing the RockN backend. The CPU and the Metal backend have already been implemented, so we don't need to worry about that. And then we also want to implement a few more models. The ones that I already mentioned, Quen2VL and Pixtral. There's already a Llama 3.2 Vision example in that PR as well. So those are models that we want to implement to really get a feel of how this new engine feels before we merge it and start working on it as a larger group. And in 2025, what we want to do is add more backends. So a lot of people have asked us about MLX backends. A lot of people have asked us about TensorRT, Microsoft backends. Everything like that is on the table for 2025, and we're going to be exploring that as we feel out this new engine. So once you have this new model, what you want to do is share it. So with that, I'll pass it to Patrick, who's going to talk about sharing these models. Patrick.
I volunteered to be a mic stand. Patrick's demo. So I'll be up here too. This guy too. All right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super stoked about the stuff that Mike just showed. It's like it's all kind of come together. It's really good. But I want to talk a little bit about publishing models. Yeah, right now, the way like that people go and publish models, we actually currently support two different sets of types of weights that you can actually import models into. So it's not just about creating the architectures like Mike was just showing, but it's about bringing the weights in as well too. And so we support both safe tensors and GGRF-based models that if you want to import them into Ollama, it's very easy to do. If you have an unquantized model, like safe tensors, or even the unquantized GGRF, you can actually quantize these as part of that import step into Ollama as well too. And all of that works with just this one command, which is the Ollama create command. And so if you want to actually, like, once you actually have your model ready to go and publish, you can go and publish it on Ollama.com. But the first thing that you are going to need is an account. And once you have that account, there's just one other command, which is Ollama push. And you can use Ollama push with your account name and the name of the model, and it just works. And this is free right now. Anyone can go and do this. We've had it for a while. It's free to create an account. It's free to push anything you want. There's no limits on the number of quantizations or the number of models that you want to go and push. We just want everyone to publish their models on Ollama and share them with other people. And we, as of yesterday, I think, we just released a new feature on Ollama.com, which is private models. So if you want to go and create something and get it working first, like update the README, update the weights, things like that, you can now create a private model before you're ready to share it with the rest of the world. And that's working today. I was going to do a quick demo of that working. So yeah, let's switch over to the demo. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see that. I also have a copy of Llama 3.2. This is the 1B instead of the, so the 1B instruct model. And this is actually just the safe tensors stuff. So you can see there's a model.safetensors file. You can see there's just standard config.json, tokenzer.json. And we also have the model file. And the model file is going to define the things that we need to use in order to create the model that we're going to go and publish. So in this case, we have three different commands that we're using. We have the from command, and from dot just means use the things which are inside of this directory that we've got. We've got a system prompt, and I find that with the 1B models, they kind of need a little bit of help to like actually work a little bit better. So we're just going to tell it that it's an AI system. And I've added one other thing, well, two other things, I guess, two messages, which are, if you're thinking like multi-shot versus single shot, you can prompt the model a little bit more. So in this case, we're just going to call it a thread. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use something. This is not quite, I don't have PR for this yet, so you're going to have to forgive me. But I've been working on some improvements for making the API for the create command actually a lot faster than it is right now. So it's a little bit slow, so we've just been working hard to try and improve this. So I don't, like, this will be out in the next few days, but for now I'm just going to run it directly off my machine. And I'm going to call create, and I mentioned quantization. So we're going to quantize, let's do 8-bit on this, because I find that works better for the 1D models as well too. And we'll just call it pdefine thread. Okay, so what's actually happened now is, because we're client server, the client has gone and made sure that all of the files that it needs are there, and now it's going and actually converting the weights. So it's taking those safe tensor weights and moving them into a format that we can use. And then it went and it converted from the floating point 16 into the 8-bit quantization. And the one other thing that it did, I don't know if you guys remember, but when I was in the model file, I did not specify a template as one of the commands. Normally that's what you have to go and do. We have a feature inside of Ollama which will go and try to auto-detect what the template is, so that you don't have to. Templates are tricky, so getting this correct is kind of hard. So now I'm going to go and just do run Fred. You're gonna tell us about yourself. So yeah, so there we go. It's Fred, the 1B happy, friendly assistant. So okay, now that Fred is working, I'm going to go ahead and push Fred back to Ollama.com. So I wanted to demo that part and the new private repos. So I'm at my own page. I've created an account already. I've signed in. I'm now, if you just click over here on the My Models, you'll get to the same page. So I'm going to go ahead and create Fred, my friend Fred, and I'm going to specify that it's private for now. I'll go ahead and create the model. This creates the place for where we can go and push the model to. And now I should be able to, let's see, Ollama push beeline Fred. Hopefully the Wi-Fi is going to cooperate. So, yeah, it's not too bad. Okay, there we go. So Fred is now pushed, and if we go back to the same URL, which is what I just created before, it's the same as this, and I refresh the page, you can see that the model's now been updated. You can see that the quantization level is correct. It has all the right parameters. The template, the system template that I was talking about, or the template's there, the system prompt that I created is there. Let's go ahead and just, like, before we publish this thing so that all of you can go and try it out, let's just add a readme. Let's see, let's do this one. Okay, we got Michael inside there. So I think we're ready to publish the model now, so I'll go ahead and change this to public. And there we go. Now, if people want to go back and try to do an Ollama run, actually, I'll even go back to here. If you do Ollama run, that's it. Okay, let's switch back to the right slides.
Rest my arm.
Grab that back from me. Okay. Great. So yeah. So what's next after the getting this publishing stuff out? I mean, this is kind of like a common theme for tonight. We just want as many models as possible. So it's really about expanding the model library, getting as many people, getting like adapters, LoRa's, things like that, and publishing them. Some other things that we've got kind of like on deck, making Ollama push and pull a lot faster than they are right now. They're pretty quick, but there's still some jankiness, particularly when you're on flaky connections. So we've got some improvements that are coming from along those lines. Verified models. So you saw me push into my own namespace, which was based on my own user account, and we've got a lot of people that different companies. They have great models that they want to go and share with people. When you guys go and pull something like Llama 3.2 or whatever, there's no namespace that's in front of that. So we want to allow people to have great models to be able to, and that we verified that they're really great, to be able to go and push them so that they can also be in that same top level namespace. Collaborators. So it's one thing to have a private model that you can go and change things with, but we want other collaborators to be able to go and like change the read and push the weights, do other stuff, and improve them. And then also around historical models, like what are the different versions of models that you've had that have been there. Getting great benchmarks for something to know the quality of the model as well too. So there's lots of stuff on there. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jeff.
Thank you. I'm not just a nice Yeah, I just wanted to wrap us up. It's been a really big year, and we've got an even more exciting year ahead with the Ollama project. And we think about it in three ways. There's three major goals for 2025 for Ollama. The first one is obviously to support new models, new model architectures, using a lot of the stuff Mike showed off so that we can expand the breadth of models supported by Ollama beyond just text and vision models, but also to audio and image models, image gen, and really being able to support new modalities. Developers want not just text, but to interact with all sorts of generative AI models. And also to make Ollama fast. GPUs are expensive. The faster Ollama runs, the more value you get per GPU. And the experience gets much better. And so we're looking to make it much, much faster over the coming year. To work with some of the amazing partners we've been working with so far, both in hardware, but also in the cloud services to make Ollama really fast everywhere you run it. And lastly, to work closer together with you all and to help developers work more together, whether that's collaborating on models, like what Patrick just talked about, but also for us to work closer with this community and to really expand Ollama's kind of contribution base beyond kind of a core maintainer team to a much larger community of pull requests, and I'll talk a bit about that. And so how does this kind of materialize as a roadmap? Obviously, we've gotten Llama 3.2 vision. We want to support more vision models. I think our top request right now is the Qwen 2 VL model, but there's a ton of other ones. Another really popular request we haven't supported yet, but really want to, is audio models, whether that's text-to-speech or speech-to-text. And lastly, but not least, is image gen models, and to be a really reliable way to run Flux or diffusion-based models, and then even video. And I think there's so much exciting stuff we could build with a really rock-solid inference engine for not just text, but for a variety of modalities. And so, this is kind of the order in which we're tackling it through the next kind of 6 to 12 months of the year. And to make Ollama faster, we're really going to lean on the amazing partners we've built awesome relationships with. We really love you guys. Whether that's kind of on the desktop hardware like Apple devices or Windows, but also scaling to cloud GPUs where workloads are much more compute intensive and require a lot more memory, using backends like TensorRT, for example, or AMD's ROCm. And also doing some work within Ollama itself as the year progresses to just make it a faster inference engine, whether that's faster scheduling of batches, helping optimize some of the kernels with folks who are really experts at low-level CUDA kernels, for example, and then introducing kind of the more modern quantizations. The one Patrick just showed is a weight quantization. There's a ton of new research being put into how to make models run much smaller and run fast without losing a lot of their quality. And then, Patrick already talked about Ollama.com, but really making it a source of truth for models where you can go to find the best models on day one and run them everywhere. And so we'll be kind of expanding our library we have right now, that a lot of them are vetted by the Ollama maintainer team, but really expanding that to a broader kind of community of model publishers so that people can self-serve, self-publish, and we can have some tooling built into Ollama.com to help grade how good models are, maybe complexity tests and quality tests, but also performance tests to say, hey, how fast does this model run? And we really believe in fine-tuned models. I think at the summer we showed off how to run fine-tuned models with Ollama. And we really think by the end of the year, we'll be in a world where every developer can fine-tune their own model, and the tooling will be there, the base models will be there, and we're just really excited to help developers through their journey. Probably going to happen a bit later next year, but we're really excited about that. We've been waiting since basically day one of building Ollama for that. We'd love to build this with you. I think right now it's been tricky to know where to contribute to Ollama, right? There's like this API, there's parts to it, there's a runtime engine, and one of our goals for 2025 is to really carve out chunks of the product where PRs are really welcome. And the biggest one for this is what Mike shared earlier with the new engine, which is we're inviting everyone, and we need to kind of get that PR out and expand it from there. But there'll be a nice little slot where new models can get added to Ollama. We'd love to invite anyone who's building a model, or even who is really passionate about a model, to help add it to Ollama, and we can review that together and make sure it runs really reliably and fast. We're so excited about that. It's been hard to do this today, like Mike mentioned, and so we're excited to go run every kind of model with you guys. And then to also use that with the amazing set of tools that we support today. Tools like LangChain, some of the folks here tonight, but agent tools, and much more. And so we're just excited to keep building a big community of developer tools. There's no way Ollama can go solve all these use cases with our Python library, so we're here to support those. If there's bugs, let us know. We want to keep supporting that. And thank you all for coming. It's been such an amazing year building Ollama with you, and we're just so excited to have you here, and it's going to be such an amazing year. So, but until then, enjoy the rest of 2024.